My name is Terry Robinson. I serve as the Creative Projects Collaborator for the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire and the Creative Director of House of Testament streetwear label. And so basically, I moved to New Hampshire actually a year and a half ago at this point. If you judge out the time, I moved here from Washington State, and we actually moved here because my mom took a job at UNH, which is the University of New Hampshire, as director of the counseling center there. So that's actually, I've moved around from place to place. So born in West Virginia, moved to Florida, then Florida to Washington, and Washington to New Hampshire. So I'm really used to moving a lot, and actually a lot for my mom's job. But that was, I'm able to experience a lot of different cultures and sides of the country. I lived in the Deep South. I was raised there. And I lived in, Midwestern, just like Appalachian. I'm an Appalachian boy by right. So like, I'm good with muddy, and I'm good with the country stuff. My dad's from Mississippi. Like my mom's from Chicago. So like, I know the city as well. So I've had a taste of every like different part of the country, which I'm really fortunate about. So I owe that a lot to my parents, and that's also informed a lot of my viewpoints on life. Our mission is to educate and inform people so that they're not left with ignorance and bias, and they're able to have conversations in a safe space about race and race-related issues. I mean, at the end of the day, there's so much Black history, not only in Portsmouth, but in New Hampshire, that you wouldn't realize when you come in here. The Harriet Wilson Project in Milford, uncovering the history of the first Black woman to write a book ever, here is just amazing. And starting that with Valerie Cunningham, who has been researching and doing history for years and years, I think 25 years at this point. You're talking about two women who are giantly influential in the community, and continually to press on about all of this stuff and all of this history that we have today. I mean, even the building that we're sitting in is historical because we found information of two slaves that the parishioner owned, of Pompey and Jesse. And so everything that we do relates back to history. And my job is to take the history that we find and relate it to the future. Future reference, it's important for young people, especially young people of color in the state, to get engaged with politics, to really prove that we, as New Hampshire, should have that first in the nation status. You want to be a representation of America, and America is a very diverse and rich cultural country, and we have our issues, but at the end of the day, it's a united front for all of us. So it's important for young people, no matter race or ethnicity, to get out and vote, and to get out and share your opinions on politics, because your voice does matter and your voice is heard. I mean, at this point, it's going to take a younger generation to solve the issues that the current people in power are not going to, or not wanting to solve. I mean, there's definitely racial tension, and there's definitely, police brutality are issues. Low income disparities are issues that I look at. But climate change and environmental, these are issues that are plaguing us currently. And, there's some people who want to do things about it, but they don't know how to go about it. Gun control is another issue that's really important. Mental health in Black communities is another issue I'm really passionate about as a person who does suffer from mental health issues. I am very open about the fact that I studied politics. When I was 14, 15, I actually worked for a U.S. congressman in Florida. And he was a Tea Party Republican, Ted Yoho, and which was a very different, set of opinions from what I know. But that experience taught me that at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we want what we think is best for the country. So it's important to see both sides of the issue, which is why I'm registered as an undeclared here in New Hampshire, which is independent. I'm registered as an independent so that there may be times where Republican issues or Republican candidates I really vibe with them based on what they believe on in issues, maybe on economy and maybe on social things like that. Like, Bill Weld is a good candidate to talk about, because he's a person running against Donald Trump in the Republican primary, but he also is very focused on women, getting women voters, social issues as well, and trying to keep the economy afloat and balance the budget in the time frame that Republicans said they were going to balance the budget, which was 10 years versus 15 years of the current administration's planning. But that's not like but on the Democratic side, that's so important, because you have, on the ballot 25 people running, and you have 7 front runners, which is just unheard of at this point. And you really have to. I had to start looking at candidates I didn't like before I could look at candidates I did like. And each candidate has their own set of issues that they want to champion, and own set of platforms that they want to talk about. With Pete Buttigieg, it is I looked at his on his website. It's very important to go to the candidate's website sometimes so you can get a full overview of what they believe in. But his Douglas plan, which is his plan for Black America, I read through that, and I was really surprised that the language was very all right, trying to be PC, when it just really seemed like, all right, we're going to inject capital into the Black communities. Definitely whoever is chosen for the nomination, we have to be united behind that person. The thing about it is, we're already divisive as a country, and we're split by political lines. And to have that fracture within the party as well is detrimental. So you want to be able to support the candidate who wins the nomination, no matter who they are, because, the general election is, when it comes down to it, about beating Donald Trump. And also, as a party, we should be able to hold that person accountable with the things that they said they're going to do for the next 4 years. Yeah. And about issues like climate change and like the economy, but they view it from a different standpoint than people of color do. She's not engaging in those conversations. Elizabeth Warren, she kind of, she kind of lightly taps the issue and runs away. Jerry Ann had the opportunity to actually ask Elizabeth Warren a question about our status about being first in the nation, and if we are diverse enough to have that status, and what, as a candidate, she is doing to engage on these issues. And you could tell from Elizabeth Warren's answer from that question, she is still kind of formulating that, and she's still trying to bridge the gap. She's trying, but at the same time, it's not like she's not trying hard enough. If you like Joe Biden, Tom Steyer, the candidates I'm actually really looking at, Tom Steyer has a great platform on race, and a great platform on the economy, and he's really fired up to beat Donald Trump, which is what people are looking at. But for me, I'm kind of looking long term, like what's the next 4 years going to look like after you beat Donald Trump. I just want to know what your plan is. With Joe Biden, it's like he has that plan of his next 4 years. I can trust him to be a president that's going to prioritize the welfare of the country, both domestically and in foreign policy, above, the things that his party may want to do right then and there, which is the same thing that Obama did. So, I can tell he has the ability to govern for the next 4 years, but does he have the ability to beat Donald Trump? So that's kind of where you're at this point. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's about engaging on the issues, and I'm talking about candidates across the board, Republican and Democrat. We still have people running on the primaries on the Republican side, so you got to make sure that's also apparent. But it's about engaging on issues of race and having that conversation. And there's very few candidates on both sides that are having that conversation, and you want to stay with that conversation and continue it for however long it needs to, so that we can get to a point where it's not so bad, like it's not a taboo subject anymore. And I think that is, at the end of the day, what the trail is trying to do. Do I think that there is a voice for Black people here? Yes. We have actually a few Republicans in the state Congress who are actually African American. And again, we have, African Americans who identify as Democrat. You have African Americans who identify as independents, and obviously they're getting their voices heard because they have a platform to do it. So I think it is important to say that New Hampshire voters and people of color voters have a voice here. Yeah.